Hey, what's up everyone? Welcome back to another reaction video. Today I am continuing my dive into Ren's music. Ren is a rapper and he draws on his experience with chronic illness, with mental illness, experiences of life beating him down for so many years. And I'm starting to learn a little bit about his life, about his journey, through his music and other contexts that other commenters have added on. I've learned that he has a very passionate following and that he infuses a lot of literary and philosophical elements into his work. So that's really exciting to watch as both someone who has studied music, who has studied literature. So it's really just a convergence of a lot of interests that I have into an artist who creates some very powerful music that has served to inspire a lot of people, as well as to document his own journey. So I am reacting to his new track, Troubles, today that just dropped a couple of days ago. I will say at the outset, one of the reasons that people appreciate Ren's music so much is because it's deep, is because he takes a lot of care with his music, with his editing, with his lyrics, and with his videography. And so yes, I'm not going to pick up on every single thing, especially since I am new to his music. I haven't listened to all of his music. I haven't tracked his journey from being relatively unknown to being the phenomenon that he is now. And so as you all comment about things that maybe you've seen and that I missed, don't take it as a slight or something that I don't care about some part of his story, but it's just that because this is art, there are going to be pieces that I pick up on and don't pick up on, just the same as anyone else who consumes his work is not going to see every little thing that he has in there. That takes multiple rewatchings, multiple listens to be able to get a fuller picture of what he's trying to communicate through this medium. The other piece too is, yes, I know that a lot of his struggles were primarily about the misdiagnosis of his physical condition, but one theme, one message that runs through the songs that I've heard from him is that the mental component plays a big part in his story as well. And I'm going to talk more later on in the video about how physical and mental health may not be as separate as we might like to think sometimes. But just as a small taste, that if you are struggling with a physical condition, feeling lost and confused and not getting straight answers from doctors, just being medicated, yes, you're going to develop some mental health challenges along the way. And so I'm really excited to dive into that with this track, Troubles. Now, of course, please do like and subscribe. That helps this channel to keep growing, helps me to expand my horizons as you all suggest things for me to watch and react to later on.
Ooh, Lordy, trouble so hard. Ooh, Lordy, trouble so hard.
Okay, just reading some of his story underneath where he was dealing with the sense of lostness and confusion about not getting an answer to a diagnosis. Yeah, absolutely, that wears on you. And talking about a stress-induced psychosis, that can absolutely happen. I haven't had a client personally who's dealt with that before, but yeah, periods of prolonged stress, like his body was in a stressed state dealing with his condition, as well as the added stress of going to doctors, maybe being put on different treatments and medications, none of them really working, none of them really getting at the root of the problem. That kind of prolonged stretch, being in fight or flight for that long of a period of time, really takes a toll on somebody's body, because fight or flight is supposed to be a short-term kind of response to an acute danger. But when we're in a stressed state for months or years at a time, in his case, issues with digestion, sleep, recovery, immune system, all of those can pop up and flare up and probably exacerbate the condition that he was in.
I don't reach into the past very much for these shards of shattered glass and harsh paper cuts. Leave me stop when I reach in, memories are seeped in. Hydrochloric acid, I go to war and get passive and freeze up. Music help the ice to thaw, put the chisel in the middle, swing the hammer of Thor. Pull it out of the impossible, Excalibur sword. Etching notepads full of reasons why my feelings are sore. The first day that I got sick, ejected from the cockpit of living. 19, young teen, waking up bitten. Posters up, manhunt, Ren went missing. Hard to have faith when the gods don't listen.
So So what I'm gathering, and of course with the beat and the way that it's mixed, it's a little hard for me on like a first or second listen to make out everything that he's saying. So I know there's a lot that I'm probably missing. But when he's saying that he's ejected from the cockpit of life, he was just sailing along, and then this disease came up and sprung him from the comfort that he knew. And that can be a traumatic thing for a lot of people, dealing with a serious diagnosis or even just your body deteriorating and not knowing why. And like he talked about, he started losing his sense of himself. Probably a lot of the things that he used to enjoy. He talks about later in this track, not being able to go outside, not being able to see the sun, and not having any hope. So he was losing his sense of himself. And absolutely, that's a physical health component, but also very much a mental health component, even if he wasn't specifically diagnosed with any mental health disorder. And so trying to recapture that hope, that sense of himself, as well as struggling with religion, what prayer means, what faith means when he's not getting any answers. I don't know his religious background, but yeah, those kinds of situations, those dire, chronic, unknowable, unpredictable situations can cause a crisis of faith for a lot of people. And if he was religious before, this could absolutely bring that on.
First hit maybe was the hardest. Waking in a body that was buried like a carcass. Brain in the lion's den, body in the shark pit. Waking up in pain again, aching, broken hearted. Persistent little blogger, I was bouncing from a doctor to a doctor to a doctor, like a table tennis game that has no end. So
when he's talking about bouncing from doctor to doctor, that is a real thing. At least in the US, I know there have been a lot of my clients who struggle with physical disabilities and challenges on top of their mental health challenges. That yeah, sometimes when you can't get the right answer, you go to another doctor, you might get a completely different diagnosis and explanation for what's going on. They put you on a different treatment plan, different medications, deal with different side effects. And then when that stops working, or it doesn't work in the first place, and you go to the next one and the next one, the next one, and all of these side effects start adding up and taking a toll on your body, and you don't realize at the end like what are actually the original symptoms and what are just the effects of the medications that you're taking.
read the fate of Ren. Every single question answered with a question on the end. The second year I came to terms with giving up my dreams. Mine was severed from the means to help me write these rhyme schemes. Brain was inflamed, the fatigue was crushing. Hard to remain sane with your brain combusting.
I love the imagery that he's using, talking about the brain being inflamed, on fire. Inflammation is a huge issue that is being researched now in the mental health field, talking about how our physical and our mental health align. And a lot of it goes back to inflammation. Like we talk about being in that stress state. Inflammation comes from being in a stress state, whether you think of like swelling or headaches, migraines, whatever was going on with his body, with his brain feeling on fire, that disrupts a lot of the normal functioning of our bodies. And so if we can find ways to allow our bodies to relax, allow our bodies to be at rest, and bring down that inflammation. Sometimes it is by using medication. For mental health purposes, what I do with a lot of my clients is mindfulness work, allowing ourselves to engage with our emotions, engage with our feelings of discomfort, what's hurting, what uncomfortable emotion we're trying to process. And when we can engage with that without judgment, that allows our body to be more at rest, more whole, instead of feeling like it's warring with itself or us pushing some part of ourselves away.
Third year was murder, living in a purgatory full of worry, wouldn't live to be 30. Lifestyle hurt me, always in my bedroom. Rearranged the alphabet and all the letters spelled doom. Light hurt my eyes, popping pills to survive. When you're 23 and mentally you steadily decline. 24 I was poor, disability benefits. What's the benefit of disability? It's irrelevant. 25 and the scars that were etched, they crack. Elastic bands only stretch so far and then snap deep inside.
When he's talking about elastic bands only stretch so far before they snap, I hear him talking about resilience. And this is a thing that comes up for a lot of people who are inhabiting a lot of roles and dealing with a lot of stress. And it may not be as extreme as what he's talking about with his condition, but it could just be that you're a parent, that you're working, that you have expectations put on you by your boss, your children, your spouse, are pushing and pulling at us all the time. And what happens is that resiliency, we have a natural store of that, but as we take on stresses, that resiliency wears away slowly. And eventually you reach this breaking point where you just don't have it anymore. And that's a prime trigger for people to fall into depression, to be susceptible to other mental health challenges, even physical problems as well. And so the way that I encourage my clients to recognize when their resiliency is feeling low is to recognize, Are you burned out? Look for the signs of burnout. Feeling a lack of motivation, a lack of enjoyment of the things that you used to enjoy. Feeling depressed. How can we pull back on some things? How can we take self-care, intentionally making changes in our lives so that we can rest and recover and our resiliency can go back to where it would normally be?
Psychosis, hallucinations, troubled vision, visits from the underworld were conjuring my superstition. 25, living back at home with my mum, but not because I'm a bum, alone and physically done. So thin, so frail, so weak I'd become, and my skin so pale, never kissed by the sun. One time I carved a hole in my chest just to feel. I wish that was a metaphor, the struggle was real. When you live.
So if I'm taking his lyrics literally, then yeah, he was self-harming in the midst of all of this. And this happens a lot with some of my clients who are dealing with so many emotions, so much pain, so much hurt, that sometimes you become numb to it all, and physical pain is the only way to feel like you're grounding yourself to reality. Otherwise you just feel untethered, like he was talking about, being stuck inside, not seeing the light of the sun, and probably felt like he was just kind of a ghost floating through life. And maybe that pain was a way to ground himself when it was so easy not to feel anything else. And what I did notice throughout the larger story of this music video is that he's got a lot of these jumps from scene to scene. And I don't know if those are particular places that have special significance for him, but what it says to me from a mental health standpoint is, like, as he was talking about jumping from doctor to doctor, and that there's not really a sense of settledness where he has clear answers. There's not one particular backdrop, but a bunch of different potential explanations for what might be going on. And through it all, the only thing that's consistent is that his story continues through it all without breaks. And, you know, his flow is really smooth. And what we see is just that continuity of his narrative throughout all of the changes and shifts and cuts between different scenes. And I think that speaks to the larger message of your story persists. Your story is whole and continuous, even if the scenery is constantly changing around you.
Living in the Holocaust, you buckle and kneel. There's relief in the teeth of the kiss of cold steel. Facts. 26, I'm highly medicated and the pain sophisticated while I'm lying broken naked on my back. I bore my microphone until my coffin started dropping raw thoughts with the grim reaper knocking on the track. But then, man, lo and behold, I heard an angel beckon on this treacherous road. Was a stem cell doctor with a generous glow. In the cell transplant, pulled me out of the cold. And my skin got younger and my body got stronger and my stomach felt hunger for a door that was closed. And my soul heard music for the first time. Beauty was a word I'd use for this gift of gold. Oh Lord, I forgive you. Lord, I forgive you. Lord, I forgive you. Make me whole.
And there might be some people who are religious who have trouble with this language of Lord, I forgive you. But I think just from a storytelling standpoint, to go from questioning God, losing faith at the very beginning, like he talked about, to feeling like he can be reconciled with the idea that there is a Lord. And from a religious background, there's a difference in calling God versus Lord, because Lord implies an ownership and a direct authority over somebody's life. And so through this transformation, through this journey and his story that he's telling, he's become more reconciled to the idea that there could actually be somebody in charge of all of this, even if he didn't know the full story from the beginning.
This music I give you, pain that I live through, everything I've been through is yours to hold.
And if I haven't mentioned this before, I think he makes his own beats, and this one slaps. This one's really got a good groove to it. Okay, I want to read this out loud because I do have some clients who struggle with these conditions, like Lyme disease, ME, MCAS, POTS, fibromyalgia. And I've had one client who has fibromyalgia describe it as just like pain all the time, and there are some days where it's completely out of control and they're just in bed the whole day. And then the good days are when there's still pain, but they can actually function through it. So it never really stops. And They described it as almost a catch-all of just undiagnosed pain, and doctors don't know a reason, so they just give them the fibromyalgia diagnosis. So there aren't a lot of clear answers around that condition specifically. That's the one that I have the most experience with from my clients, but I've heard similar things about many of these other conditions that go underdiagnosed. And when you talk about having years-long struggles with these conditions, not getting a straight answer, or doctors that we trust to be the experts in these fields not knowing the answers, not because they're incompetent, but just because the research hasn't gotten to a point where we can easily diagnose that yet, absolutely has a huge impact on our mental health. Feelings of instability or a lack of hope, like he talks about throughout, where he struggled a lot with his sense of being able to have hope and being able to continue on. I'm glad that he persevered through all of that, but I don't know how he did considering how bad things got. Okay, he says, this can make you feel like giving up, and many times I came close, but I'm so happy I didn't because life is beautiful now. I promise yours can be too. When I was watching this video the first time, this is my second watch of it, the first time I thought, I am a little jealous of him because he can say that and people will believe it. What I mean by that is I can't just go in and tell my clients, I promise your life can be beautiful too. I mean, I can say that, but they're not gonna believe it. And so I have to support them, guide them, walk them through to finding this realization on their own. And a guy like Ren, who's been through it, who has this platform, and I absolutely don't begrudge him that. I think he's doing awesome things with it. I just get jealous because he can say that and someone will watch this video and be like, yes, my life can be beautiful too, and come away inspired by that. I just think it would make my job a lot easier if I could do something like that. But all that to be said, I'm glad that he found hope and that he's inspiring others to have hope as well. I'm so glad that he puts his mission statement in here. Like, he's making this music for a real purpose of pushing for more exposure, more compassion, more understanding. And that's something that I do want to talk about, that I have a client who is school age right now, who's dealing with chronic migraines. And we're talking about probably 5 or 6 days out of the week dealing with debilitating migraines, and the school's not working with them because it is an invisible condition. They just have to take his word for it that he's in pain, and he's trying to navigate this really difficult, complex physical condition while also falling behind in school and maybe feeling like his teachers or the school administration don't really have his back. That really sets the stage for someone to really struggle with their sense of efficacy, their sense of self, and their sense of worth, especially during such a formative time as like middle and high school. Well, that's a pretty awesome song. For all of you who are new to the channel and discovering me reacting to Ren for the first time, yes, I am new to his music. I don't know all the context in the background, but I feel like that's okay. I trust his art and his artistry to be able to stand for itself without having to be propped up by prior knowledge of what's going on. Obviously, that would add a lot of richer context to the word choices that he's using and to some of the stories that he might be alluding to. I think, again, this is a piece of art, just like with music or with a painting or with a story, and people will get different things from it upon each different watch and listen. And so comment below what are some of the visual or sound or lyrical things that you noticed that I didn't pick up on. I would love to see what you all saw in this video. For those of you all who are watching during Mental Health Awareness Month, May of 2024, I would encourage you to donate to a nonprofit. And in order to encourage all of my viewers and subscribers to be able to do that this month, once you do donate, go ahead and DM me or email me a copy of your receipt, and you'll be entered into a giveaway to win one of 3 prizes, either a sticker pack from our merch shop, or a shirt from the Own Your Stigma brand, or a subscription box from To Write Love on Her Arms. So these are the 3 prizes that you can win. Make sure you get your entries in by DMing me your receipt or emailing me your receipt. Those links will be in the description below, so make sure to check those out and get yourself entered into the giveaway. As always, please do like and subscribe. Thank you so much for watching this video. I'll see you all next time.